2024 council meeting. All councils are in attendance. Councilor Stein is in attendance via Zoom. Number 2, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda item 3, city council meetings, the rules of order. City council meetings are conducted according to Robert's Rules of Order unless otherwise provided for and adopted by the city council at their annual organizational meeting in November. Agenda item 4, adoption of minutes from the following meetings of the city council. November 20th, 2023, the regular council meeting. November 9th, 2023, special council meeting. November 13th, 2023, organizational meeting.
Move to accept.
Second.
All in favor? John's not on the,
Oh, there you
there he is. Thanks, John. Unanimous. Item number 5, city manager's report.
Good evening, council. I apologize in advance. I have a fairly lengthy report here, but I'll try to work through it as quickly as I possibly can. First off, just wanted to announce, to remind everyone, as of last week, we started with new City Hall hours. The hours are Monday through Wednesday, 8 to 5, Thursday, 8 to 6:30 p.m., and Friday, 8 to 12:30 p.m. Last Thursday was our first late night, and I think we had 4 or 5 citizens who came in after 5 o'clock to conduct business with the city, so I think that was fairly productive for the first time. Due to staff training, if you plan to visit City Hall this week for clerk or tax office services, anticipate potential delays on Tuesday, and it is recommended to consider visiting on another day for more efficient service. The water utility billing office will be closed Tuesday through Thursday. However, payments can be made here at City Hall during that time. The city staff will be learning a new software, which we are in the process of migrating our current software to. There are 2 council workshops upcoming in January 29th at 6 p.m. in the council chambers to present the final draft of the business attraction plan, and then again on January 24th at 6 p.m. in the council chambers to discuss the current homelessness situation in Ellsworth and meet with area agencies to better assist those in need. Discover Ellsworth has launched. This website, initiated by our Economic Development Department, is dedicated to showcasing Ellsworth and is designed to be a one-stop shop for visitors and locals alike, providing a wealth of information about the town's attractions, events, dining, lodging, and shopping options. You can explore Discover Ellsworth today at discoverellsworth.com. The Ellsworth Public Library is thrilled to announce the launch of the first ever county-wide library consortium, the Hancock County Download Library. By pooling resources, 9 member libraries are now able to provide their library patrons free access to the New York Times online and the Libby application, which offers e-books, audiobooks, and magazines. Ellsworth residents and community members are encouraged to take the communication survey so city staff and councilors can learn how to best deliver information the community wants to hear about. At the end of the survey, participants may choose to enter a gift card raffle. The survey is available online through our homepage. Dog licenses obtained after January 31st will incur a late fee. Please contact the city clerk's office to register your dog or update your information. And finally, the Ellsworth Housing Authority seeks a new appointee to be an at-large member. Must be an Ellsworth resident. Interested persons should contact Teresa Hodgson from the Housing Authority. More information is available on our website. That is all I have.
Thank you. Any questions? Item number 6, committee reports.
I don't see him.
You don't see him?
I think you'll just approve it
All right. So we have a request for a reappointment of Raymond Williams to the Ellsworth Housing Authority Board as chair, term to expire January 2029.
Move to reappoint.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
And I have 2 more committee reports.
Yeah, that one I just had to have a motion for. I think John's there, so unanimous. Thank you. Any other committee reports?
Yep, I have 2. The Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee didn't meet in December because the meeting date was on Christmas, so there's a special meeting on the 10th on Wednesday. And we're going to be continuing to work on our visioning plan, so anyone who wants to see that or be involved. And the HR committee has been meeting because we've been going through the process of looking for a new city manager. We've had a lot of excellent applicants. We've interviewed 5 people, and we are going to meet here with all of the city councilors on Thursday. We'll enter into executive session so that we can talk about the interviews that we did and make recommendations for going forward from there.
Thank you. Any other committee?
Michelle, can you hear me?
I can. Hey, John.
I just wanted to remind the council and the public that January 24th at 6 p.m. in council chambers will be the workshop on homelessness and housing. We've invited a number of local organizations to come present on the holistic information about the current homelessness issues and dynamics in our city. And this will be a public workshop, and so you can tune in for live streaming as well if you're interested in how that's going in our city as well, in public. Thanks.
Thank you. I did attend the Harbor Commission meeting. They're really, it was a pretty quick meeting actually, but they are working on their budget and their capital improvement plans, and they're looking at creating or recreating a 5-year plan for the harbor area.
Is that tied in at all with the comprehensive plan?
I don't know. That's actually a good question for the comprehensive plan to check with them. Yeah.
Is Matt here? He would answer that better than I will. Yeah, I think
Sorry.
once the visioning process is done, we're definitely planning on reaching out to a bunch of different organizations as we finalize the comprehensive plan.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, citizen comments. This is the area on the agenda where citizens may come to the podium, please. State your name and present any comments that you have on items that are not on the agenda. If the item's on the agenda, you'll have a chance to speak when that agenda item is brought up. We do ask that you hold your comments to 3 minutes. Anyone like to speak?
Good evening, councilors. I'm John Linehan, 157 Shore Road in Ellsworth. I want to start with a quote tonight from Karl Marx. It says, "The first battleground is history." And I want to talk with you tonight about a couple things, really. Maybe a bigger picture thing than what a lot of people are interested in and think, well, this doesn't pertain to Ellsworth, but I believe it does. Number one, I think we need to know who our enemy is. I think if you watch the news, any channel, I don't care what you watch like that, you can see that we're in trouble globally. There's a lot of problems out there, a lot of problems in our world. We need to know who our enemy is and what their plan is. I look around the room, I see I'm a little older than most of the people in this room. So this is not my first rodeo, my first experience watching highs and lows, watching skirmishes and wars around this earth right here. So know your enemy. And I want to tell you right now that America is under attack. What you're seeing happening out there right now is not an accident. It's not just a thing that happens. It's just unprepared. It's under attack. And I want the people to know that right now, I am a Christian. You can tell by my shirt. Jesus is my Savior. And I'm interested in the spiritual, but also the political, from a statesman's point of view. Right now, the attack that we're under is people that want to take America down. There's a globalist, one world order of socialist, communist, elite, a new world order, if you will, that want to destroy America. They're trying to do it from within. America, well, I don't think will ever fall from without. But from within, if you study history, Every great republic that's ever been on this earth has fallen, except the United States. The last one, almost 250 years old. The rest of them didn't fall from the outside, they fell from within. Immorality, the governments went apart, the spiritual emphasis went apart, and that's where they fell from. And I'm telling you right now that America's under attack from people like Bill Gates, George Soros, Klaus Schwab, head of the World Economic Forum. And the last and not least, I'm ashamed to say, is that Democrat Party has been taken over, I believe leadership-wise, by communists, being run by communists. And the Republican Party is being influenced in that same direction as well. So know your enemy and how to prepare about it. I'm going to give you a quick solution. It's about priorities for our year, for our town, for our state, and for our country as well. And I think you need to establish priorities. We need to do it individually and hopefully as a town. My first priority is my faith and trust in God, and Jesus Christ is my personal Savior. And my second is my family and my friends. Third is health. I try to keep myself fit for an old guy, try to work out, stay in shape. Have to keep in shape physically. And then our jobs and our finances we need to have in order. And finally, I'm an America first, Maine first, Ellsworth first person. And anytime I see any of those three things being what I call attacked or under control, I'm going to do my best to spread the alarm, to say, hey, this is a problem. We need to watch out for what's going on. Now, I have a peace because I know God's got things under control. The way I believe, I pray and I read my Bible, study it every day. If you want to really find out about the history of what we're going on, you need to know the history. Number one, we need to look at our founding documents. This country was founded on a Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and a Bible. So I encourage you to look those over closely and take a strong effort as a town, state, and a nation to really fight the battle we're in. It's a spiritual, not a political one. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Would anyone else like to comment? Okay. Councilor comments? Anything tonight? Councilor O'Halloran?
Just like to lay out on the table that I have received many complaints about the tax bills that we sent out last year with the increased cost, and I hope this upcoming season we can keep that in mind and work to control the tax increase this year, because last year people have complained a lot about the substantial increase that we went through. Hopefully this year we can find a new way to not do that to our citizens again. Thank you.
Thank you. To follow up on that, we'll be starting in end of March, the budget, do you think?
Middle March
Mid-March.
with workshops,
Oh, good.
hopefully.
Anyone else? All right. Last is presentation of awards, my favorite part of the meetings. First is Kevin Sawyer. Is Kevin here? He's not here. I'll just read Kevin's certificate. The City of Ellsworth proudly presents the Certificate of Service to Kevin Sawyer in recognition of your 20 years of service to the public, in the Public Works Department for the City of Ellsworth. Your devotion to duty and loyalty to the community have contributed to the improvement of the City of Ellsworth. Second is Brian Moon for 10 years of service as a truck driver, crew leader for the Highway Department. His, same, the City of Ellsworth proudly presents the Certificate of Service to Brian Moon in recognition of your 10 years of service in the Public Works Department for the City of Ellsworth. Your devotion to duty and loyalty to the community have contributed to the improvement of the City of Ellsworth. The next one is our city manager, Glenn Mosier. City of Ellsworth proudly presents the Certificate of Service to Glenn Mosier in recognition of your 20 years of service in the City of Ellsworth Police Department, from officer to chief of police, and to your service as a city manager to the City of Ellsworth. Your devotion to duty and loyalty to the community have contributed to the improvement of the City of Ellsworth. Thank you. So the next one's on the agenda, Raleigh Erlenbach. It's actually for 45 years of service with the police department. That's actually tabled until August. August, yeah. And then Megan Stubbs for achieving the Milken Family Foundation Excellence in Teaching Award. She is under the weather tonight, so she will be tabled until February when she's able to attend the meeting. So the next is Rebecca Wright for being recognized as Assistant Principal of the Year. City of Ellsworth proudly presents this Certificate of Achievement to Rebecca Wright in recognition of her outstanding dedication and contributions to Ellsworth High School. Rebecca has been honored by the Maine Principals Association as Maine's Assistant Principal of the Year. This achievement highlights her impactful career, making a difference for both students and staff. The City of Ellsworth extends heartfelt congratulations and gratitude to Rebecca for the incredible work she does every day. And our final tonight is the girls soccer team for Class B North title. The first one since 1999.
I'm Jaden Sullivan. I'm Emily King. Taylor Libby. I'm Sydney Libby. Kelsey Lambert. Maya Coffin. Kennedy Lambert. Megan Jordan. Lily Bean. Lainey Ray. Addison Atherton. Elizabeth Bowles. Adriana Richardson.
Eric Terrell, head coach. This is my third year coaching at Ellsworth. It was a great opportunity that I was given, and really coaching the girls over the last 3 years have been one of the best coaching experiences that I've ever had. You guys are blessed to have a really good group of girls here and a lot of the future leaders, of Ellsworth and hopefully Maine and stuff like that. But great students, great participant in schools, and we have some girls here that aren't here because they're at the winter concerts, doing all kinds of stuff, but just great leaders overall. They've done a great job, and they've got a great mentality. It's been nothing but a blessing and a privilege for me.
For this certificate, the City of Ellsworth proudly presents the Certificate of Achievement to the Ellsworth girls soccer team in recognition of their Class B North title, marking their first regional championship win since 1999. Their victory reflects the exceptional talent and perseverance each member has demonstrated through the season. It is a well-deserved triumph that will be remembered for years to come. Congratulations. If you like, you girls can stay for the whole meeting. Or you should leave now.
Girls are going to walk out. Yeah. I mean, I know you guys want to stay. We do. They really do.
They're gonna do their homework.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
See you. All right, I'm gonna shut the door. Okay. Okay, Okay, unfinished business. Agenda item number 10, discussion and possible action on Chapter 56 violations of Maine Organics regarding a consent agreement.
Good evening, councilors. Stephen Wagner, Rutland Winchell, here as town attorney tonight to discuss a proposed administrative consent agreement. I understand, I think this is the second time this has been brought before you all, and so I just want to confirm you all have the latest draft from Attorney Hamer, last edited, I think, at the end of last year. Fortunately, it doesn't have a date of revision on it, so I'm going to say I'm looking at something
It's
that's
different
been-
than the last one.
It's different than the last one.
That's a good sign that you have the revised one. Very good. So just a broad recap. So consent agreement, idea being this is a private agreement as an alternative to an enforcement action in Maine District Court, which would be how the city would pursue the possibility of any fines or injunctive relief. So in this instance, the parties would be entering into an agreement subject to these terms in the hopes of avoiding a potential litigation and the costs associated with that. So since it's the second time before you, do you want me to go through some of the key terms? Generally hearing
Please, yes.
yes, okay. So the basic gist here, I think section 1 is that the Maine Organics admits to producing offensive odors in violation of the performance standards of your Unified Development Ordinance. And that references back to the recitals that appear before it, which mention at least 15 occasions of what have been determined to be past violations. So in a consent agreement, the admission of liability is probably the most important piece of that. And so I think I just want to underscore the value there from the city's perspective is that it already takes you in a large step towards if this is not successful, it'll be much easier from this standpoint to reach a resolution, even if that involves litigation. So I just want to underscore that that's a critical piece. The second major function here is that Maine Organics agrees to institute immediate changes to its operating procedures to ensure that it does not produce offensive or harmful odors perceptible beyond its lot lines in the near future, and that really mirrors the language that you have in your existing ordinance. Third section is that the city agrees to pay for, or rather Maine Organics agrees to pay the city a total of $1,000 to cover the legal fees. Before coming here today, I did just take an estimate of the time to get down here and update everything. And my recommendation is that we'd update that to $1,200. That at least bring the city current through today's process. That's something I could certainly discuss with Maine Organics, but I suspect that won't be a problem. The sections 4 through 7, what they do is they build out a process, a more formalized process for receiving and investigating complaints and dictate how that will, how a neighbor can reach out with any concerns, how the city will respond to that. And through that process, the city can reach a determination as to whether or not Maine Organics has followed this agreement and adhered to the relevant performance standards and its obligations under its site plan approval. And a failure to do so would be not only a violation of those instruments, but also a violation of this consent agreement.
Attorney Wagner,
Yes.
the standard that's used, unreasonably interfere with the use and enjoyment, got it? How is that derived, or do you know where we came up with that? And you weren't here at the last meeting. I had raised a concern with the language in there before about having a easy to apply standard that depending on, regardless of who the code enforcement officer, because unfortunately we'll have a new code enforcement officer here soon, and I just didn't know if, this does look different. I just was interested in knowing if you And I know there's other attorneys at your firm that may have worked on it, but if you have any insight there.
Sure. No, the unreasonable level of odor, I think that is derived from your Uniform Development Ordinance, and so the idea is to really stick to the language of that ordinance so that a violation of this agreement would also then be a violation of your ordinance. Now, I think part of what you may be suggesting, Councilor Lyons, is, unreasonable level, that's as land use attorneys, that's a somewhat difficult prosecutorial standard. We prefer to see something like, well, I'll admit to you, I don't know what units one would measure odor in off the top of my head, but I do know it exists. However, when we looked into that, the cost to create a standard that you can strictly quantify would be considerable for the city and Maine Organics, so that's certainly something that we could pursue further. Our initial investigation said we'd be looking at least several $1,000s for just the instrumentation. So I think the thinking here is sticking with the standard that's in your ordinance. We think it is enforceable, and we think the process here will put us in the best position to enforce that, and it's certainly the more cost-effective approach. But if the council would like to pursue more quantitative standards, that's something we could do, but I think that's a technology challenge that we'll have to confront and make sure it's within the council's budget.
Yeah, my major concern was if this were ever to be challenged, the fact that you determination that's enforceable addressed to my major concern. Thank you.
Section 7, I direct your attention to, and that does require, if in this process we find there's an unreasonable odor detection, it does provide for a short but reasonable amount of time to abate the odor. Again, that's an area where we've erred on the side of providing flexibility on this, so it doesn't provide a strict amount of days. But it does provide an obligation of the city to give Maine Organics an opportunity to abate the violation before it's considered a breach. Section 8 is the consideration that the city is giving here, which is essentially the city is agreeing that so long as Maine Organics provides with the terms of the agreement and is not in breach, the city will refrain to file land use enforcement action concerning prior violations and would waive penalties that would normally be levied on those violations. So key point here is this is not tying the hands of the city for any future enforcement actions based on future conduct. This is simply the violations that are described here in the recitals, the past violations. So Maine Organics gets certainty about that. In exchange, the city gets an admission of liability, as well as the next section here, which is a liquidated damages provision. And what that means is that in the event that this agreement is breached and the city has to prosecute the violation of this agreement or a future violation, in addition to all the penalties that it would be entitled to per violation per day, should it prove that in court, it would be entitled as a term of this contract to $1,500 to compensate the city for all of the past violations. Section 10, as I said, this doesn't limit the city's future enforcement. It retains the city's prosecutorial discretion. So what that means is the city, at the end of the day, is the one who decides what violations to pursue or not pursue, and nothing in this agreement restricts that inherent authority. And finally, this 10C states this does not create a private cause of action. What that means is that the city has rights under this agreement, as Maine Organics has rights under this agreement. This agreement does not create a new ability of a private citizen to bring some sort of cause of action in court. They do have a complaint process that this agreement affords them, but it doesn't give them a new right that did not exist before to bring a claim against Maine Organics. Now, that's not to say that a citizen couldn't or does not now have a potential claim. It's just saying that this agreement does not create anything new. Any questions on those terms or this process?
I have one. So in the section, and I don't have it in front of me, the section where you talked about that we may give them time to repair or fix the breach before it's considered a breach. Do we have to do that, or is it just a may? Because the only thing I'm thinking of is if they have the odor, we get the complaint, the seagulls are out, we fix it. But if just a couple days later it happens again, and a couple days later it happens again, when does it become a breach, if they just keep fixing it?
Sure. So your first question was, is it a mandatory obligation on the city to give Maine Organics? And as this is drafted, yes. It is a mandatory obligation to give them time. But I would say the emphasis is the order is controlled. So I think the second part of your question really gets at that, which is there's an obligation there that they have to take measures that ultimately control the order. And so if you're having something that repeats again and again, I would suggest that that means their measures are not controlling the order, and so they have failed. And at that point, in my opinion, you wouldn't be obligated to continue to give them opportunities just because it's based on a new odor detection.
Okay.
But certainly I can add language to make that crystal clear, because I think that we shouldn't have any question about that, so.
I just think it's, I mean, and I don't want to be a detriment to Maine Organics by any means, but it seems like that's what we've been doing. And so I was hoping that this consent agreement would create the need to discontinue that practice of ours of saying, getting the complaints, telling them that they need to fix, and they do fix it. I mean, that's the thing. It's so there is a piece that makes you feel badly, but then a few weeks down the road, there's more emails and there's more seagulls or there's more something, and we're asking them, please fix it again. And that's what we have been doing. So I was hoping to have something a little more controlled.
I'd agree
Councilor
with that statement. We've for 6 years been batting this back and forth with little success. And so I would second that comment, and I would ask this question. When the code enforcement officer stood up here a meeting or two ago, mentioned that this test could be $1,000 or greater, and you said a few $1,000s. Do we have a cost on this thing?
Yeah, so I think Lori and I are operating off of the same information, which is Attorney Hamer's initial investigations and thinking was just given a rough estimate. We could certainly get a full quote of what a odor detection meter would cost, and then we could propose some language that would provide a stricter standard. So I guess going to both Councilor O'Halloran and Councilor Lyons and Chair Beals, your point of essentially what I'm hearing is a quantifiable standard and then a limited amount of times that the city could go through this process, determine that there's a breach, and give an opportunity. You know, and if we exceed that barrier multiple times, that is a breach on its own, and we can pursue. And we don't have to wait until we've determined that the measures that they've taken are inadequate.
I think considering those comments, I would, I think, support what Attorney Wagner's summary of, let's get it right, and a little more tinkering, get this estimate, because while we can use the language in the ordinance and it's enforceable, if there is a way to quantify it, then everyone can, you just point to the number and whether or not you're in violation, and there's no ambiguity there, or there's a lot less ambiguity there. I think for this situation, considering how long it's been going on, that one more iteration of this agreement to get it right, seems to make sense.
There was a little chatter, if I may.
Oh, that's fine. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. There was a little chatter about the contractor or Maine Organics perhaps participating in purchasing whatever this was. And I want to say that was chatter. I don't know that that was any agreement whatsoever, but I did hear some chatter about that. So perhaps in that, maybe there could be a conversation about that.
Yeah.
Lori Roberts with the Code Enforcement Office. I had read it in the minutes that Mrs. Wellman had said that if it was a problem, that they would purchase it. So, and that was in the minutes, I had read that from before it was approved.
Right.
Thank
I'm sorry,
you.
that
Thank
was,
you, Officer
that was a
Roberts.
planning board minutes or minutes from, yeah, from back when it got
Before it was
approved.
So certainly that's something that we could follow up on, and I think that's reasonable, and in crafting this revised language that provides a quantitative standard, that's certainly something that we would want to do in consultation with Maine Organics, and frankly, as well as other industrial activities that might also be subject to these sort of odor standards. We don't need to reinvent the wheel for Ellsworth. These do exist, and so part of what I would do, taking this back, is some investigation and contacting Maine Organics and others and seeing what standards already exist and what that technology is, and how we can perhaps cost share as a part of this agreement.
Anything else from the council? Would anyone like to table this?
Move to table?
Second.
All in favor? Councilor Stein?
Oh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, get the gavel ready.
I'll get my motioning ready.
Do these ones quickly. Okay, agenda item number 11, public hearing and action on the following applications for new and/or renewal on the following licenses. And I am told these are all set, all the licenses, no concerns? Dave's Auto Repair and Towing, 231 Bucksport Road, Ellsworth, Maine, for renewal of a city towing recovery license. Open the public hearing. Any comments? Close the public hearing.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. 86 This, 125 Main Street, Ellsworth, Maine, for renewal of city Class B license, food, alcohol, amusement. Open the public meeting. Any comments? Close the public meeting. Council?
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Squid LLC, DBA Ellsworth Suites, 147 Bucksport Road, Ellsworth, Maine, for a renewal city lodging license. Open the public meeting. All right. Close the public meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry, discussion? I was waiting for discussion. All in favor? Unanimous. And finally, New England Hospitality, DBA Comfort Inn, 130 High Street, Ellsworth, Maine, for a renewal city lodging license. Open the public hearing. Close the public hearing.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. All right. Got to be an easier way to do that. Okay, item agenda number 12, Council Order 0108 01, discussion and action on the request of Branch Lake Water Steward to set the Branch Lake Boat and Aeroplane sticker fee at $0 for the calendar year 2024. John?
Hello, Councilor. Some of you may not know who I am. My name is John Whedon. I've worked for the Water Department for a while. And over 2 decades ago, the city decided to protect its water source, its sole water source, Branch Lake, by enacting some land use laws and some surface use restrictions as well to ensure the long-term viability of Branch Lake as a water source. And I'll just talk quickly about the surface water use right now. The surface water use is primarily boating access that we, I would say not control, but ensure the safety of by way of the newish, 10 years ago, state launch on Branch Lake that the city has a partnership with. The city operates the launch in conjunction with the state ownership. And as part of that, every boat on Branch Lake has to have a Protect Branch Lake sticker. It has to have an inspection, and the boater has to have a permit to be on the lake. As part of this concept, the sticker, which everyone has to obtain, just ensures that the boater, are aware that they have to have the boat inspected every time it's launched on Branch Lake. So it's an education, it's an awareness thing. And that's a tool, because education has been proven in other places and around the country, and in southern Maine especially. Education is a lot cheaper than remediation of our water source. So we're trying to keep out invasive species, just as the state's been trying to keep out invasive species out of our forests. There's a lot of economic and/or environmental benefit in keeping things slowly changing as opposed to radically changing and having the resulting impacts on our economy. So as part of that, we have a boat tag that goes on every boat that goes on Branch Lake. We've never charged for it in the past. We've wanted boaters to be our partners in keeping the lake clean. It's been a tool to educate. You folks have the choice to choose to charge a fee for that sticker if you wish. We've looked into it in the past. Various launches around the state, we charge fees per launch as a rule, and those range anywhere from $7 to $0. It depends on where you are and who usually puts the launch in. The state put the launch in on Branch Lake at a cost of about $1 million, including the road, 10 years ago. And they would probably have some input if we were to decide to charge a fee for a boat sticker to boat on Branch Lake. So it's something we can think about at your leisure. In the past, we've always chosen, you folks have chosen to not charge, to have a fee of $0. And usually I recommend that to ensure that people are our willing and helpful partners in keeping the lake clean.
Councilor Smith?
Just a question to start.
Yes.
I didn't hear when you said who paid the $1 million 10 years ago?
The state. They built
Okay.
a boat launch, state-of-the-art boat launch halfway up Branch Lake.
Oh, I've been there.
Thank you. I've probably seen you there.
That'll be my next comment. I wasn't sure that I heard you correctly.
Yes. I apologize. I may have misspoken.
No, it's fine. I wanted to make sure I heard. I also am listening to that, balancing what Councilman O'Halloran said about balancing costs and who should pay for what. But when I've gone, I went with my kayak, not knowing there was a sticker. Didn't bring my wallet, because I don't bring my wallet when I'm boating.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we talk about would a fee be a barrier, would it, I think I support where you're going with just leave it $0, because probably a fee that you would look to charge would not be cost effective when you put in the administrative layer of having to manage the money. So even though there may be an argument for charging a fee, I think that there's the equity issue of people who maybe it is a barrier, the fact that people won't know about it and they show up ready to boat and they think Ellsworth is amazing, and then they can't get in their boat because they don't have $2. I think that aligns with what you're saying of the reason. The other thing I'll add is the times. I probably went 3 times kayaking last year. And I don't remember his name, the steward, or the title, the steward who was there was very open, friendly, free about how to look for weather, particularly on my first time out, where the weather comes from and where the winds might hit. So it was a very positive experience, and I want you to know that. And also, I think support leaving it at 0 for the reasons you raised, acknowledging what Steve had said, but also I don't think there's a cost. The cost-effective fee we'd have to charge would be a detriment to people who we want to enjoy the lake.
Thank you. We agree more wholeheartedly than you would think. And I'm glad to meet another happy boater on Branch Lake. Yeah, I think 2,000 partners in keeping the lake clean is more important than $2,000 worth of fees
Yeah.
taken in.
Thank you.
Do you see good participation in the program as far as so there's someone there enforcing it that if you don't have the sticker, you can't launch your vessel. Is that correct?
Yes, and I think the key part of that is we make it easy to do. There is no charge for it. A lot of people are amazed, people from away, as us Mainers call folk from other states, are amazed that we don't charge. We get a lot of praise from folks in other states who wish we'd had our program in their state 20 years ago. They wouldn't have the issue with invasives that we don't have now. And I think that the concept of a fee is very common in many other places. We don't have the infrastructure yet to handle a fee structure. We could generate that, but it's a lot more enjoyable to have an open, friendly discussion with our partner boaters, if you want to call it that, and achieving the goal of a clean lake, because that's far, far less expensive than protecting a lake or rebuilding a lake that's been invaded by invasive plants. Hundreds of thousands of dollars folks spend in southern Maine trying to just harvest invasive weeds every year just to be able to utilize their lake. And it's not just the drinking water source, which is of course near and dear to the water department's heart, but it's a tax-paying resource around the lake as well. It really impacts water, shoreline values
Yeah.
if you have invasive species.
Yeah, so that's helpful. And I guess the question I have is if I show up, don't know about this program, I have a boat, there's someone there that says, hey, you need to, let me educate you on proper, boat launching and ensuring that you don't bring in invasives, and then I can get a sticker that day, or do I need to contact the city to get the sticker before I can launch? I'm just trying to understand how the program works a little bit better.
Yes is the answer to your first question. You show up, we are there.
Okay.
Luckily, with the help of Michelle, who vowed when the launch was open 10 years ago to inspect every boat as long as the launch was open. And we have done so. We've had pretty much universal coverage from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the summertime anyway. And there's always someone there, with the exception of illness, hurricanes, such as that. But yes, when it's open, it is there. We have someone there to both educate people about the program and to assist them with the knowledge about invasives that we all want to share with everyone. Because a lot of people here, there are many boaters around the table that I recognize, but there's a new generation, and they're born every year, and they need to be brought on board with the concept of invasives spreading and their prevention. And so, yes, we're there to educate and to help, and is charging no fee for this education is a key component of smiles versus grumbles. Yes, Mr. Allen, if I can.
Can I just add just really quickly to that? So when you drive in to the boat launch, you have to go by the inspector's shack. So you really can't launch without being inspected. So, makes it easy. Councilor Helen?
I'm all for the zero cost. I like that plan. But I do have a question about the procedure. Is this a sticker you get each time you enter the water, or for the season?
For the season, it goes on your boat. Once it's on your boat, in the process of obtaining that sticker means that you are educated about the need to inspect your boat every time you launch it. Your boat is inspected at the state launch every time you launch it, but you only need the sticker once a year. And again, it's just an educational tool. It doesn't protect the lake. It lets us know and the owner know, the reminder that you should inspect your boat every time you launch on any lake, let alone just Branch Lake.
And one further question, that sticker is available only at the launch, or is it available other places?
No, it's available through City Hall pretty much 365 days a year. We get them the first of every year, and a lot of people around the lake who have been coming here for 50 years and have a camp on the lake, they mail ahead or email ahead and say, we have 10 kayaks, we'd like 10 stickers, please. We mail them to them, and they have them on their boat before the ice melts from the lake.
Wonderful.
Did you have a question, John?
I have no questions.
Oh,
all
no,
answers.
the other John, sorry, the one behind you.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, here I am. Do you suppose some folks, especially the folks you mentioned from out of town who were excited to hear that it was a free sticker, would be motivated to donate if there were a donation box like you see in, say, Acadia National Park?
Many times, we do get a donation. We do not encourage it. We haven't educated the staff as far as policies for receiving monies for that. It could be encouraged if the city council wanted to go that route. We have many people who really want to help us, and many people insist upon it. I've had a $20 bill thrust in my pocket against my will. We can go that route. We haven't gone that route. We haven't discussed handling cash at the launch. We really want people to be focused on education and prevention, and we haven't gone there yet. That doesn't mean we can't. So that's something to think about if the council would like that.
Many of the residents do in-kind donations anyways with their time doing inspections and loon counts and things like that, correct?
Yeah, there are many volunteers all around the lake and all through the town, not just on the lake. We've had volunteers work at inspecting boats. We've had many people, because we work with the state as a partnership, we have 3 sets of RV sites that the city built for inspectors, and these people donate their time for the benefit of having an RV slot, and they donate 20 hours a week to inspecting boats while at the launch. So we have a partnership of both volunteers from state, they're called state park hosts, as well as our paid staff. And with that staff usually ends up being about 12 people all told each summer. And so, yeah, it's a combination of volunteers and paid staff. And many people do in-kind work. And several of our students that we hire on do a lot of volunteer work anyway, because they are encouraged to do volunteer work as part of their high school graduation requirements.
Thank you. Any additional questions? What would the council like to do?
Move to approve the Branch Lake Water Steward to set the Branch Lake Boat and Airplane sticker fee at $0 for the calendar year of 2024.
Second.
Discussion? Those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Council Order 010802, request of the highway foreman to award an RFP for a fork truck. Yeah, she'll be right back. Go ahead. We still have 6. Go ahead.
Good evening, Council. Adam Wilson. Last year, in our capital improvement, we identified the need to replace the forklift at the transfer station. We requested to budget that, and it was granted. This year, on November 29th, I sent out 3 RFPs to Main Material Handling, W.D. Matthews, and Craig Butch and Son. The only vendor to return a bid was W.D. Matthews with 2 bids. It's basically the same forklift, just different brands. One's a Bobcat, one's a Toyota. The Bobcat is the former Doosan manufacturer.
Does anyone have any questions? Councilor Helen?
I couldn't tell from this, are you trading in one
So I did not trade that in because when I spoke with the vendor about trading them in, they offered us pennies on the dollar for a trade-in. So if the council would like, you know, we could put that out to bid either on Gov Deals, or we could keep it on hand as a backup if the new one breaks or needs service. Because it's a specialized forklift, it has a rotator on it. So it dumps the cans and the paper and everything in that baler. And we cannot rent one that has that capability.
So that brings my next question, and that's where I was going with that. What is the value of the one that you're replacing?
So the vendor offered us between $3,000 and $4,000 for a trade-in.
So if you were to keep this as a spare, it's not handy except for anything except at the transfer station?
No, not true. So the reason why, part of the reason, if I can back up just a little bit, the reason why I was against such a low bid was we recently put in thousands of dollars of work to get this through 2 years ago. It has about 6,000 hours on it. What I would recommend is we stored it at the highway department. We could use it for lifting plow steel onto the steel racks, moving heavy things around, you know, overhead storage. And it would be used very minimal because of the fact that, you know, there's not a high use there. But we would have it so that if we did need it at the transfer station, we could just move it down.
Any other questions? What would the council like? Just one?
So, what,
Oh, good.
which one are you recommending?
So I'm recommending the Bobcat, which is $39,960.
Okay.
It is cheaper than the Toyota. I looked at the specs. It's a Ford Chevrolet thing, you know, in my opinion.
Does it have the little rotator?
It has the
hand on it?
rotator, yes, it
Okay.
does, yep.
All right.
And is that the amount that we budgeted for it?
We
last
actually
year?
budgeted $40,000
Yeah,
for
okay.
that.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Move to accept that then. Move to accept the Bobcat for $39,960 plus tax.
No,
Not-
no tax. No tax.
Oh, no, no.
Total.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Council Order 010803, request of the city manager to adopt the Hancock County Mitigation Resolution.
So, good evening, council. So this is Andrew Sankey, the Hancock County Emergency Management Director. Last year, he did an update to the Hancock County Mitigation Plan, and as part of that plan, he showed us what we had in the previous plan for some mitigation, potential mitigation projects for the future. The items in there were outdated and didn't have a lot of relevance. So working with Public Works and the fire department, we came up with 4 new potential projects. The first and most expensive, which we're currently working on to some degree, is the Branch Lake Dam. Repairing the dam, including the earth embankment, concrete structures, flow gates, safety and security features, and spillways. So we're currently in the engineering phase of that and are likely to have a plan for what that may look like in the coming months. Based on, we've been working on that for well over a year now. The second is the Red Bridge Road upgrade culvert with a 96-inch by 48-inch plate steel barrier bridge. We're not doing that, but the project that's being done at the Red Bridge Road is equivalent to that type of upgrade. The third plan was the Mill Dam Road, upgrade existing double barrel culvert with a box culvert and bridge. For those of you who are familiar with that area, last year that culvert washed out, Adam. 2 years ago, the culvert washed out, took out a portion of the road. We had Mill Dam Road closed for several days, and there was significant work done to that, including a concrete box culvert put on one side, head wall, excuse me, put on one side. But in order to be able to accommodate flow if the dam were to breach, we would need much more significant than what's currently there. Currently, if the Branch Lake Dam were to breach, the Mill Dam Road is not going to be able to sustain the flow. And then lastly, the fire department requested that the Bangor Road between Lucerne Town Line and 349 Bangor Road strategically place 30,000-gallon cisterns for fire suppression. This area has limited water available for fire suppression. So those were the 4 items that we included in the mitigation plan, and the ask tonight is that this body will just adopt that mitigation plan.
So am I understanding right that like the different towns say this is what we're doing for it, this is what we're doing, and we're just approving our part, Ellsworth's part tonight?
Correct. Yeah, and it's not necessarily that we're going to do these things, but it's recognition that we realize that these things, these projects, if undertaken, would be beneficial towards, towards ensuring that if we had, in this particular case, if there was a breach of the dam, by the work that we're going to do to the dam, hopefully that will secure the fact that we won't have a breach of the dam. But if we were to have a breach, these other items would be critical to be able to manage that flow. And then, of course, the fire cisterns are just a result of lack of water out there. We don't, our city water doesn't go out that far, and out there there's distance, quite a distance to travel to get to a water source to be able to provide, a sustainable water for fight, whether it be a wildland fire or a structure fire.
Excellent.
Is there so this county plan, hazard plan, is it through the county, the governmental entity, Hancock County, and is there, and then my second part of my question is there any, and I may have missed this, or is there funds available that we need to take advantage of by adopting this plan? I guess I didn't.
So this plan is put together by Hancock County Emergency Management and Andrew Sankey, and
And that's under the county umbrella?
under the county, but also under the state.
Under MEMA?
Yep,
Okay.
MEMA. And so like other emergency action plans, the plan is a requirement. And so there isn't funding sources identified through the plan, like we would say, we've identified this in the mitigation plan, so therefore we should be eligible for X, Y, or Z funding. It's not that type of mechanism. It's simply a mechanism that he utilizes through all the communities in Hancock County to be able for them to be able to identify areas where they know that they have some risk, yeah, perfect, a risk, and that they've identified potential things that could be done to minimize that risk.
Does having the plan help us become at all, eligible for any kind of funding through like FEMA or MEMA or anything like that, do you know?
I don't know the answer to that question. Because again, this isn't our plan.
Yeah.
We're just contributing to the county plan. It's not something that we wrote. Again, these are just the areas of concern that we identified for his overall bigger plan for the whole county.
And do we think these are our riskiest spots? I mean, is that why we chose those? Because we think if something were to happen, those are our riskiest spots?
Yeah, for this particular, plan, for this mitigation plan, because the branch, we don't have control over the other dams. So if Branch Lake Dam were to breach, we've only recently learned, because through this project that we have ongoing with Branch Lake, we've recently redone all of the inundation mapping, so we now know that that dam is going to be actually elevated to a higher level as far as danger goes if it were to breach because of the potential loss of life. We're believe satisfactory based on that study that, and in conversations with Black Bear, that if Branch Lake Dam were to breach, it's gonna overtop the dam downtown, but it's not likely to cause that to have and suffer any real danger. But the inundation mapping from Branch Lake all the way down to Leonard's Lake is pretty significant, and there are several homes potential for loss of life. So based on that that education that we've gotten through this project of the dam, that's why these three things kind of were catapulted into the priority list for us to identify as issues that do raise an element of risk if we were to have some sort of catastrophic failure. And then the fire, the cisterns, is just an ongoing concern with that rural part of our community that doesn't have easy access to water should we have a fire. So so that's why these things were taken into consideration. I'm sure there are probably other things that throughout the city, if you took a look at them, that do present a risk, but certainly the Branch Lake Dam and the focus that we've put on it over the last 8-12 months, and the fact that it does have a leak, and it in order to maintain that, it's going to take a considerable investment in the city. That was identified as probably the most obvious risk that we would have.
I think, Councilor Stein, did you have something that you wanted to ask? No? Okay. Is anyone else? Councilor Howard?
What's the downside to doing it? I haven't figured that out.
There isn't one. Again, it's not our plan. But we've just contributed to the plan. But as part of his process, each community that contributes has to adopt the plan. So it really has no downside. Again, it obligates us to nothing. It just simply is, these are the things that we've identified as presenting a risk to our community.
Any other questions? What would you like?
Move to adopt the Hancock County mitigation resolution,
Second.
or our part of it anyways.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, next executive session to discuss personnel matters in accordance with MRSA Title I, Chapter 13, Section 405, Paragraph 6A.
If I may, Councilor Beal, before we go into executive session, I failed to mention during my report, and I think it's important that we state it tonight, that the February meeting will also be the second Monday, not
yeah.
the third Monday because of the holiday. So the February meeting of the council will be at 6 o'clock on Monday, February 12th.
Thank you. I think, yes, he just joined. Green light's on. Item 16, discussion and action as a result of the executive session.
I move we take no council action on this matter.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? I hate to do this to you people. Item 17.
Get out of here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you writing down who entered?
I did, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Did we lose Don?
No,
That,
I can
Yeah.
see the
the
final.
executive session.
Yes.
It was 4-2.
4-2 and 1 to stand.
And one recused.
Thank you.
Thank you,
can't
that's
see,
what I'm
John?
trying.
So I didn't see the vote, was it what?
Tell me a little more.
4-2.
Does that
Perfect.
help you?
Thank you.
Oh, I was just gonna ask,
So-
is Tammy coming back?
Yeah, I don't know what to
Okay.
This is John Hamer. Do you need me to stick around for the next one?
I don't think so, John.
All right, well then have a good evening.
Thank you.
Me too.
Thank you,
Have fun
John.
in the rest of your vacation.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Item 18, discussion and possible action as a result of the executive session to extend the contract for city manager. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the extension agreement or accept the extension agreement. Anyone?
Do you have a second?
Second.
Sorry.
Do we have any
Who's reading?
discussion? Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion pass. Item 19, adjournment.
Move for adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you very much, everyone. John, enjoy the rest of